Most organizations boast of having a diverse workplace, but today somehow diversity has become synonymous to hiring women in workplaces. And today I'm going to talk about some things that I feel are very relevant to diversity, but probably not gender related. Now, when we talk about men and women, there are some biological differences between men and women, and then there are some behavioral differences. And if we put the biological differences to the nature part, we can probably say that the behavioral differences are probably due to the nurture part. So today let's talk about whether the nature or the nurture part is more important in terms of hiring women or men or anybody for that matter at workplaces, right? And traditionally, if you look at how men were expected to be in the society, traditionally men were supposed to be the breadwinners in the family. The society had certain expectations of behavior, of financial stability, etc. from men. They were supposed to be macho. They were supposed to do the heavy lifting part of the physical labor, heavy lifting part of any activity that they do. And men traditionally were stereotyped to be more career focused. Any man in a society had to go out and earn money. There could not be any men who probably would say that I want to become a very domestic person, I'll not be career focused, and those type of men were probably looked down at. Similarly, women had their own challenges with what type of expectations the society had from them. Any income that women would earn was usually considered as side income. There were many families where women earning probably would take that money and put it in their pocket money. They would probably put it for their children's funds, but that was never considered as the mainstream income of a family. Similarly, as men were expected to be more macho, women were expected to be more compassionate, more soft, more gentle, and any behavior that was against this was considered to be manly. Similarly, women were not expected to be career focused, they were expected to be family focused. So once you are married or you have a family, you have children, you have parents, in-laws at home, you are expected to be more focused on the family, where the man of the house was expected to go out and earn money. Now, this was what used to happen traditionally between men and women, and none of this is related to the nature part. None of this biologically comes to us. Men, of course, are macho in terms of having more physical strength, but today we also know that women also have good amount of physical strength. Similarly, the compassionate element doesn't need to be focused only on women. There are enough number of men who are very compassionate towards others. So despite the nature part, the nurture part actually makes more impact on how you shape the personality of a man or a woman. Now, when we're talking about workplace diversity, I personally do not think that any of the elements that are given to us by nature actually impact the performance of a person. Mostly it's the nurture part. And if it's the nurture part, how does the gender matter? And when we're talking about diversity, why do we only talk about gender diversity? Why do not we talk about the other forms of diversity that are more relevant to the nurture part, which is more relevant to a workplace? Now, let's talk about the other nurture elements. For example, if you want to hire people in a company that have different types of risk profile, and the reason being that people with different types of risk profile, risk neutral, risk averse, risk taking, will take different types of decisions in the firm, and therefore you will have a plethora of opportunities that you will explore. There would be some divisions where people need to be more risk averse, some divisions where people need to be more risk taking. And if you're looking at risk profile, that has nothing to do with the gender of a person. Probably it comes with the age, probably it comes with the family background or the type of family composition that a person is coming from. Probably it comes from their previous work experience or general experience in life. And since these are attributes that are not specific to a particular gender, maybe the risk profile of a person is not specific to a gender. Similarly, if I were to talk about the personality of an employee that you want to hire at your workplace, for example, if you want introverts, or if you want extroverts, if you want people who are more analytical, or people more who are great at communication, again these could come out of the fact that they belong to different places in terms of where they are born, where they are brought up. And just imagine if you have people from different countries, states, cities, towns, what type of personality they would build. Similarly, it also comes from the education, from their levels of exposure. If someone has traveled a lot, they would have a different personality. If someone has never ever stepped out of their hometown, they would have a different personality. Similarly, ethnicity, religion, caste, etc. would also build a type of personality in a person, and so using that you can actually leverage benefits in your organization. And what I want to say here is that none of these is specific to a particular gender. Now let's talk about ideas. When people say they're hiring someone for adding diversity to their workplace, they're usually looking at more ideas. Suppose you have a product, you want to know whether it will get sold all over the country. You want ideas from different aspects of your employees. If you want to know which languages this product or service will be marketed in, you want to know, you want to have diverse ideas. If you want a new marketing strategy, or if you want to enter a new market, you want to work with a new channel partner, anything, right? You're looking for always looking for new ideas, and new ideas you feel is going to come from a diverse workforce. And again, let me talk about what gives people the ability to come up with new ideas. If you're from a different country, state, place, you're definitely bound to think differently, and that is definitely the nurture part. If you have a different education background, now when I talk about education, there are a lot of companies who only hire engineers, from a particular university in the country. And how do you think that you will actually benefit from diverse ideas if everybody is from the same university, they studied the same things, they had the same professors, had the same level of exposure? How do you think that will work out for ideation in your company, right? So think about people from different education backgrounds, people from different qualifications, different universities, different levels of studies, etc. Then you could also talk about people who have a lot of extracurricular activities. They probably have more ideas, have more exposure, have experience with a different type of a team building environment, a different type of leadership style. So none of these again is very specific to women or men, right? Now let's talk about the last thing which probably companies are focusing at when they say that they're looking for stable performance, or they're looking for exemplary performance of their employees. Again, none of this is specific to the gender, because performance again is a factor of so many elements of a person, right? It could be a person could be high performer because they probably have good education, or probably they have a lot of extracurricular activities which makes them a healthy individual, which means that they have more stamina to sit for longer hours of time. Similarly, a person who's probably less career focused, is more family focused, could again show low performance. A person who's demotivated could show low performance. So again, this performance element is not specific to the gender of a particular person. And so what I'm trying to say over here is, none of these aspects that a company is looking for when having a diverse workforce is specific to a male or a female individual. And the challenge I feel in today's hiring is that traditionally companies used to be heavy on hiring men because there was lesser women workforce in a country, for example in our country. But as of today, if you look at the last 10 years of 10th or 12th board examination, the ratio of men and women, that is girls and boys, appearing in these examinations has been 50-50. Right, so 50% of the entrants, 50% of the students who pass these exams are men, and 50% are women. But what happens is, when we come to the workforce, we see that this ratio of male and female employees in most companies is not 50%. So I would say that because we started off from 10th and 12th with a 50-50 ratio, we should definitely aim at having equal number of people in terms of gender diversity in a company. Because at the end of the day, if you want to hire top talent, you should not get bothered about what the gender of that person is. That is one aspect that I can understand. But look at it traditionally. Before the last 10 years, say 2 or 3 decades back, a lot of men were in the workforce, lesser women were in the workforce. So today, if you look at companies, you will see a lot of men. Maybe it is a 70-30 ratio, 70% men and 30% women. And so when you want to bring this 70-30 to 50-50, you probably think that whatever new openings I have, I need to have women employees interview for that. I need to employ women employees for sure. But let me tell you that if you're doing that, then you're losing out on the other 50% of the market that comprises of men. So if you have one position and you're only interviewing women, you're only interviewing 50% of the top candidates that are available in the market. And I understand that from 70-30 you want to move to 50-50, but that cannot happen by filling all your empty positions only with women, because then we're losing out on the other 50% of the top talent. And no mention that gender does not actually give you a license to have diverse opinions in any of these. It is the other parameters that probably have more importance in adding diversity to a workplace. So irrespective of male or female, I feel that organizations should look beyond the gender and start looking at the other attributes that probably add to a diverse workplace, so that they can benefit from these aspects that they feel would come out of a diverse workplace. Let us not just focus on adding women to a team or a company and then put this attribute this term diversity to women, and it is used so fluidly that sometimes it feels like somehow women are guilty of being women, and that is why they were actually hired, and it makes them feel less motivated. It makes them feel lesser mortals, because at the end of the day they probably know that they were hired for this position just because they were women. So let us not do to the top talent of our country, let us not focus on any particular gender, let us focus on the other attributes that actually lead to a diverse workforce, and the gender should probably come in the end. So there was a very interesting thing that I realized when we were hiring people from a particular community in India. These are Sikhs, and if you look at their names, they all have unisex names. So none of the Sikh community member would actually have a name that clearly specifies whether this person is a male or a female. And when they send resumes to companies for interviews, imagine the kind of impact that would have on the recruiter, because they actually do not know the gender of this person. They're only looking at that person's skill, experience and fitment to the role. So just think about these type of things when we have digital environments as of today. If we can remove the gender aspect from shortlisting our resumes, from our hiring, maybe we will get more access to top talent of the country.